That's the one thing that you would need to grasp as a skill to support every other skill that comes after that. But that leads me on to the first thing I want to talk about, and the most important, I believe. Hey, and welcome back to the Project Management Diaries. My name is Inem. I am a full-time project manager and a mom of 3. If you're managing your life, work and a home, you're probably using more project management skills than you realize. Today I'll be sharing 5 key skills that I use every single day, both at work and in my everyday life. So come along with me. Here goes that sound again. That's the famous sound that I'm sure everyone dreads. But that leads me on to the first thing I want to talk about, and the most important, I believe, in the skills that you require as a project manager. And to be honest, not just a project manager, as a mom, as whatever it is that you do in your day-to-day. I think the first skill that probably tops it all off and is the overall skill is communication. Now, whether I'm managing stakeholders or managing screen time negotiation with my kids, being able to speak clearly, calmly and kindly is everything. And sometimes it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. And I'll give you an example. When I got into a specific role, for so long, this particular subject matter expert was sort of holding on to information. And a thing about these subject matter experts, everything is in their heads. They don't know how to communicate to the project team or anyone. They just work it all themselves. So I was brought into a project, and that was the first thing they told me. They said, "We've struggled to get any information from this person. We don't know what their program looks like. We don't know what's completed. We don't know what's issues that they have." And that was the first thing that they said, and they tasked me to do to get that information. Now, one thing I've learnt, knowing how to communicate to people differently. So the way I communicate with person A is not the same way I would communicate with person B. And also depending on what I need from them, then my communication will vary. So when I got into this role, the first thing I noticed that this person was very standoffish. They don't like new faces, because with project managers, you're going from project to project. So this person did not like the reoccurring project managers. So I sort of understood that in a sense. So I didn't ask for anything in the first conversation. I would just introduce myself. I got to know them. I got to understand exactly why they are the way that they are. I was able to get every single thing. And to be honest, it boils down to the communication, because in the past, that person did not know the reasons why they were being asked for certain things or the impact of why they need to provide certain information. That is all. I didn't ask for anything. I just explained what the process is, and I explained why certain information can feed another information. And I just laid it out like that. The question came probably in the 3rd or 4th conversation to say, "Oh yeah, I remember I spoke to you about X, Y, and Z that I needed for X, Y, and Z. Have you got that available?" They're like, yeah, I'll share it with you now. I kid you not, it took me a couple of weeks to get it out. But because I went in there not all guns blazing, I was calm, I understood the individual, I understood why they were the way they were, and I sort of changed my communication style to suit that individual, to make them feel comfortable so that I can get what I want from them. So I think that's something that I've learned, but I've also mastered, and I didn't realize I had that skill, that I was able to get the things I wanted from the most toughest people. I digress, but it's a very important skill, and it's something that you can learn as well. Learning how to speak calmly, how to be clear and concise in exactly what it is you want. But mostly people want to understand why. Why are you asking me for this? What does it mean for my project? Or like, what's the big deal, and why is it going to impact anything if I send it to you? So sometimes just being clear about what it is you want and why you want it when communicating with these individuals would make everything so much easier. I've gone on for quite a bit on communication, because I think that's a fundamental. That's the one thing that you would need to grasp as a skill to support every other skill that comes after that. Okay, now I'm talking to the mums out there, and I know some of these skills that you already have. And let's take time management. That is like second nature to moms, not even just moms, just women in general. So we're juggling things like school drop-offs, activities, extracurriculum activities, meals, birthday parties, and everything that comes around managing children, but also trying to navigate work as well, and also trying to find some self-care into that. As a project manager and a mom, my calendar is my lifeline. If it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. So time management will really support you. And I tend to do this from the start of the week. So I plan my week. What exactly is it do I need to achieve? And I will just say, as project managers, things will come left, right, and center. And that is okay too. So what I'll do is I'll plan my week. I'll plan where I've got some gaps. So if something does come in, I'm able to facilitate that and action it. So it's all about planning and time management. If I need to complete an action, it's in my calendar. If something is due on Wednesday, I work my way back and say, okay, I need to complete it by Monday, review it by Tuesday to submit by Wednesday. So everything is all about time management, and it will save you. Now, there's flexibility, and this is probably one of the most underrated skills. Now, you can plan your whole day, you can plan your week, you can plan your month, you can even plan your year, but then something changes. A supply can cancel, or even a supply can miss their deadline, or someone can call in sick. Someone quite critical to the project can call in sick. Learning how to pivot around all of these things that could happen all of a sudden is a skill. And it's a skill that I've had to master, not just at home, but at work as well. Being flexible around things that may happen that might hinder, whether it's your timeline or your budget, is really important to keep an eye on. And that takes us really nicely onto the next skill. One thing that's core in project management is risk management. In a nutshell, what risk management is you spotting potential problems before they become actual problems. And I do this at work all the time. And again, it's something that you will learn with time. So for example, if someone is providing me with an update, I'm listening, but I'm also listening at potential risks. So if they say the supplier said that they are delayed by about 5 days, that they won't be able to get to us for about a week or so, oh, my alarm bells are ringing. I'm like, okay, so is that an impact to our timeline? Is there a charge for that? So I'm now thinking about the potential risks of that delay, and that would be documented in my risk register. So I'll just say there is a potential delay to X, Y, and Z delivery, and this is the impact of this risk. It could impact our timeline, it could impact our budget, but what we're going to do to mitigate it is X, Y, and Z. So you have a conversation with that person, because one thing I always realize is you have all these subject matter experts, and these are the people that are sort of doing the doing and producing, and they'll just be having conversations by themselves and probably not bringing you into it. So one thing I will say is just always ask questions. If someone just says, they'll just say it very blatantly, ask questions and dig in, because there's potential risks in some of these conversations that happen, but because they don't have that project management sort of background, they're just thinking of the do. It is your responsibility as a project manager to listen to those key things that could be potential risks that again could materialize. So that's our role, to look from the outside. Obviously they're working on specific areas, but we're sort of like the overseers, so we're seeing what's happening, but we're also listening at little conversations that are happening that could impact or have an issue on the project as a whole. So I do this at work all the time, and I also do at home. I pack extra snacks when I'm going on the school run, because I know that I'm probably going to pick up a hungry child, and I do not want to have crying children in my car. So I pick up a few snacks. Or for example, you look at the weather forecast and there's a potential chance that it could rain, so you take an umbrella. So that's you mitigating that risk. I know it's not big, but it's just an example of how you kind of foresee something happening. So you've looked at the weather forecast and it said it was going to rain. So what do you do to mitigate that? You take an umbrella, and it might not rain or it might rain, but at least you've sort of covered yourself in that aspect, no pun intended. So it's all about just thinking ahead and being well prepared when it comes to risk management. And that takes us nicely on to the fifth and the final skill that is required for a project manager, and what I use on a daily basis, not just at work but at home as well. And the fifth one would be prioritizing. And that is the art of deciphering what needs your attention, whether it's that hour, that day, or even in that week. And trust me, not everything is urgent, even though some people tend to make you feel like it is, and not everything is worth the stress. So I always ask myself, what actually needs to get done urgently? What can wait? And then the last thing is, what's just noise? Being able to decipher what is what will help you tremendously when planning out and prioritizing your day, because you might end up doing something that's not even required for the next 3 weeks and leaving something out that's expected from you the next day. So being able to plan out, obviously we've spoken about your calendar, so you've got everything in your calendar, and from that calendar you can start to prioritize what's important. What do I need to do today? What can wait till tomorrow? And what can wait for maybe a day or 2 or 3 days or even a week? And being able to prioritize will help when it comes to project management. And I think it's one of those key skills as well that you'll need, just so you don't feel stressed and overworked or anxious about, oh, I've got so many things to do and I don't even know where to start. Write it all down and start to prioritize which one should go first and which one should go last. So these are the 5 key skills that I lean on daily, not just to manage projects, but also to manage my life. But if you're already doing some of these things, I want you to give yourself some credit. You've got the foundations down already. It just needs a little bit of refinement. Let me know which one of these you use the most, even if you're not in the PM space and it's something that you aspire to be. And if there's anyone in particular that you may be struggling with and you've got some questions on, please leave them down below and I'll do my best to answer them for you. And if you enjoy these project management diaries, do well to subscribe. I'm on a mission to get 500 subscribers by the end of August. So I'll be giving you everything from project management, work, mom life, also staying fit whilst doing all of those things as well. So please do well to subscribe, like, share to someone that might find this useful. Even if you're not a project manager or you know someone who is aspiring to be, share this with them and drop any questions. I want to be doing a Q&A session very soon as well, because I've had some questions asked to me, so I want to do a Q&A. If you've got any questions that you'd like to ask me, whether it's how I manage being a full-time project manager, wife, mom, then drop your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.